여러분, 나레이션 눈나가 목을 다쳐 AI를 당분간 사용합니다. 이게 AI이고 그 전까진 성우로 활동하시는 눈나의 나레이션이었습니다. 오늘의 영상 바로 시작합니다.
7-6 of clubs is a hand that at this depth I'm going to VPIP against a shorter stack depth, say 100 BB open UTG 6 max. I would probably just fold. But at this depth, I think we can call. I think that I'm rather protected in the fact that he opened from this position, meaning that Hunt will be squeezing in this formation less frequently.
보통 버튼이 콜하면 블라인드에서 스퀴즈를 맞을 위험이 있습니다. 그런데 여기서는 UTG가 오픈했기 때문에 상황이 다릅니다. UTG의 오픈 레인지가 강하기 때문에 블라인드 입장에서는 함부로 스퀴즈하기 어렵습니다.
Therefore, I wouldn't use this hand as a 3-bet. The hands I would 3-bet here would mostly be incentivized not to call, meaning that when I forego my positional advantage, the only thing that could forego my positional advantage is actually a raise, because then he can 4-bet. So when I forego my positional advantage here, I would be choosing a large sizing. I don't necessarily want to do that with this hand class because it wouldn't necessarily be conducive in calling a 4-bet. So therefore, the conclusion I have is that I would call.
Okay, in general, I'm going to do a lot of checking in this spot. I might mix a small leading range, but to simplify, I'm just going to put this hand in the checking range.
So this is a board that interacts fairly well with my range. When I call from the button here, I'm going to have a lot of queen jack suited, 8-9 suited, ace queen offsuit hand classes. Therefore, turning a hand like this into a bluff while I have a lot more available bluffs in my range is a negative. So I think that also the fact that there is no club on the board is further negative in that if I'm going to release the showdown nature of my hand, that means I'm probably going to shell off with this hand because there's no club, because I have a lot of available bluffs that are better than this hand. I don't want to release the showdown nature of my hand. However, we still lose this pot at a high frequency simply because he's going to have a lot of availability to delay. However, on board middling cards, I believe that he's going to double check, which is nice for our hand. We get to overrealize our equity. So for now, because of all the things I said above, not wanting to release the showdown nature of my hand, not wanting to barrel off with this hand, this is going to function as as a flop check.
Again, my hand could go either way. I think I'm gonna play it as a half pot bet, but it's not a big deal at all.
40. Facing turn half pot, this is a hand that is going to function as a call fold, meaning I'm going to call the turn, look to be folding most rivers. Pocket threes improved his 3-3, which was a flop give up that now turned to set. He also just has hands like ace 10 that checked flop, some potential hands like king jack, king 9 suited that chose to check flop. So I think this is a spot where we want to call simply because he can have hands like suited wheels that are trying to bet with reasons of, blowing off our deuces, 4s, 5s, 6s, things like that. So this is just a hand that we want to just look to call. It's going to give us some protection on like 7 rivers, 6 rivers, where some of our other hands, say like jack 10 or ace queen or ace jack, that might be playing similarly, might have to fold. So because my flop check back range is going to be rather protected with hands like ace queen, ace jack, 10x region hands, as well as some 8-9, and all those hands are going to call the turn, we're going to have a lot of distribution on the river in terms of board coverage, meaning we can look to call this card And if bad cards fall on the river for this exact hand, we'll have other cards in our hands we'll have other cards, effectively we'll have other cards in our range to cover for that. So for now, this is going to be a turn call and then looking to play rivers accordingly.
Okay, so I pot controlled the flop. My hand turned into a protection bet with a little bit of value on the turn. I think I still have enough showdown value in the checking line, like not a lot, but some, that this hand doesn't play all that great to be bluffing here. So that theme seems to keep coming up. It's like, when do you turn hands with slight showdown value into a bluff? In general, when you expect your opponent to be folding way too much. Or sometimes in cases where ranges are very, very narrow, in which case you just run out of bluffs. So just checking here and we'll try to navigate.
All right, so once we land on this river, we have to analyze what range we have that calls the turn. And if we look at that, it's going to be hands like ace-jack, jack-9, ace-queen, king-jack, king-9 suited, queen-10 suited, etc. So because the queen has improved the EV of our overall range so much, that means that the 7 has now downgraded into one of the worst hands in our overall range, meaning this hand probably wants to turn itself into a bluff. So now what is the target? The target's going to be hands like he has some ace-10, hands like pocket 9s, hands like pocket 8s that we're betting for protection. Therefore, we want to choose a bet size that represents the entirety of our range, meaning we want to be able to represent a hand like ace-queen, hand like queen-jack. Therefore, we want to choose something in the vicinity of like 50 to 60% pot. We don't necessarily want to polarize because we don't have key cards in our hand. So maybe if we had a hand like jack-10, we would polarize, things like that. However, I think we just want to choose a size that's representative of a weak king towards a queen X type hand class. Therefore, we're going to choose something like $80.
Okay, Jin's betting about half pot. It's an interesting spot where I would have to make some pretty big assumptions to check call. That said, I do like the prospects check raising, just because he used a slightly smaller sizing, which leads me to believe that he's deep hold. I think I'm going to do it just because I think it actually is quite good versus the sizing, and just for what it's worth, like in this specific instance with no information exchange up to this point, I'm targeting the deep hold sizing. If he had gone larger, I don't think I would be as interested in check raising. I think I would just be folding. So sizing looks like it's going to be about 4 to 5x is usually the sweet spot here for trying to pull off what I'm trying to do. I could go with an overbet size too, but I don't really see a ton of benefits, especially when I don't hold a relevant blocker. So he's making it 80. I think I'm just gonna make it like 320 and get on with it.
320?
I mean, normally this hand is a pretty natural check bet fold. We're pretty far down in our distribution. We would probably be turning hands like queen jack suited into a bluff at some frequency here when check raise, blocking queen queen, blocking ace jack. However, when he chooses the check flop option, he's effectively saying that now he has exactly ace jack, which is fair. Our hands just can't really do much here. He can have his own queen jack, his own jack 10, his own ace 10. I just think this line's just fucking overbluffed. I don't know why. He just doesn't want to check call ace 10, doesn't want to check call jack 10. I have jack 9. He probably c-bets jack 9. I think this line's just overbluffed, like fucking sick. I don't know. My gut's telling me to raise, but it would look really fucking stupid. I don't know. I don't have a lot of analysis for you guys, but I think I'm just gonna pull the trigger and look fucking stupid. I think this hand is very, like, this line's just overbluffed.
$1,080. Hold on.
Okay, so now Chin's repping pretty much exactly ace jack. I don't think that he can afford to raise worse there. The other problem with even considering anything with my hand is that I could potentially lose to a worse bluff. But I'm trying to see if that's even true right now. That would require for him to be like value betting ace queen for really thin and then rebluffing it, which I think is just really unlikely, especially since that hand has good calling blockers. So, I mean, I think this is just a spot that's really underbluffed. I'm just trying to sense into if there's any inkling that Chin would have a reason to go for this. Or what type of hand could even have been bluffing river. The only thing I keep looking at is there's definitely more ace-x suited hands in his range than there would probably normally be because of this depth, which makes me a little bit more suspicious, but like only because that ace has the relevant blocker to play the re-raise. I mean, I'm just gonna fold because I'm verging on potentially doing something really silly without enough justification for it. But I mean, yeah, the one thing that is a little bothersome is how polarized he actually is. You know, basically putting him on only ace jack. That said, he has quite a few combos of it to take this line. It makes sense to call pre. It makes sense to check the flop. It makes sense to bet the river, clearly.